Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center. And guess what? There's new knives in front of me. They're the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves, which means it's our favorite time of the week. So, let's check them out. All right, the first knife is a little bit of a throwback this week, but it's been updated in a rather crucial way. This is the ZT 350. Tiger stripe finish, now with an OD green G10 handle, but most importantly, for those that are looking, MagnaCut blade steel. This is the first MagnaCut ZT introduced on this classic model. Price on these, about $224, made in the USA. Blade, about 3¼ inches long, but maximum power in that 3¼ inches. It is beefy without being unusable as an actual slicer, and a little bit of a recurve profile to the drop point blade here adds a little bit more sharpened edge in that 3¼ inch length, which, it should be said, also comes all the way back to the handle. You're really getting the maximum amount of usability, both in sharpened edge and cutting power in the size with that profile right there. MagnaCut, of course, is very stainless. It is very tough and holds an edge a good long time in a way that a combination of 3 features that no other steel can really match nowadays, at least in one package. Emphasize certain performance aspects that could beat MagnaCut. You're going to sacrifice a little bit in one of the other 2 categories right there. Really great steel. The tiger stripe finish, of course, is iconic on this knife, as is this entire knife. It is a Canonian design, and it uses the speed-safe assisted opening mechanism that he came up with and popularized assisted openings in general. Nice, snappy, repeatable action every single time. Comes with a pocket clip, like many pocket knives nowadays, and then another throwback to the era in which this knife was originally introduced. It comes equipped in tip down fashion, but you can run it in tip up fashion. You can run it tip up or tip down on the left hand side as well. Really cool to see them coming out with something like this, bringing this modern material onto a classic and still very hard working design right here. And you can get them right now at the link below. Next up, we've got another recurved knife, a little bit bigger. The Microtech Amphibian, and this is kind of a big deal. The next 3 knives, we got a big shipment of RAM-LOK equipped Microtechs, which, before we get to the rest of the knife, if you're unfamiliar with that, it operates kind of like an axis lock or any other crossbar lock you can think of, in that you pull these tabs on either side back to release the blade, allow you to swing it open or closed. But rather than a simple crossbar, it's like this big wedge of metal engaging with the tang of the blade, driven by a coiled spring from the rear rather than omega springs like most crossbar locks are. Really cool, and we're seeing it on more than just the MSI, which is what it was introduced on. More on that in a little bit. I don't actually have prices on this Amphibian right here, but it is going to come in G10 and aluminum variants. I believe it's going to be the same price for each, and you can check out the links in the description of this video for fully up-to-date pricing.
Be quick about it, though.
Be quick about it. Yeah, you never know. The MSIs, as we've gotten them, have been going very quick. The stitches, which we also have been going very quick. But this is the first time, I believe, we've had the Amphibian with a RAM-LOK. First time we've had an Amphibian under the Microtech name in a long time. Usually when these show up, they're as Marfione Customs. Tony Marfione, of course, being the founder and showrunner, essentially, of Microtech knives. But here we go. Let's see, blade length. I don't even know, because we don't have the page up on the site while we're filming this yet. Almost 4 inches. We're about 3 7/8 of an inch long. It uses their proprietary steel M390 MK, which is a variant on the M390. Most of the improvements on the formula, from what we can gather, help them in the manufacturing process, but you should get a little bit more edge retention as a result. Probably an academic difference. You might not ever actually notice the difference between the 2, but it should be there in any case. And of course, the recurve, we talked about it on the ZT there, adds a little bit of sharpened edge in a given length, and also adds in the cutting power, especially on pull cuts. As you pull, you kind of engage a little bit more of the edge in slicing fashion, shall we say. The aluminum feels good. The G10 also feels almost the same, maybe a little warmer. And the G10, surprisingly, maybe not, is a tiny, tiny bit lighter in the hand. It's a little more handle balanced, or a little more balanced. The aluminum is slightly more handle heavy than the G10. Yeah, small degrees of difference here, but man, these things are put together super solid. They feel fantastic. Nice oversized hardware here. Lends it an era of very rugged dependability. Reversible clip, left or right. Everything, in fact, on this knife works well left or right, so it's a very ambidextrous design. Whether you're left-handed or right-handed, there can be some advantages to that, of course. As mentioned, we've also got stitch models with the RAM-LOK with G10 handles. These feel very nice. Also using the M390 MK, available with or without the partial serrations here. We also have partially serrated amphibians, if that's your thing. Really upping the ante on the cutting power of those recurved sections of that blade. The stitch itself comes about 3 5/8 of an inch on the blade length, but sharpened edge is more like 3 inches because you've got that nice big choil right there with which you can, or in which you can put your index finger for a nice choked up grip on this spade-like blade. Very cool, very tactical, very, stylishly tactical, I would say. That's kind of the thing with this knife, which is of course a collaboration with Borka Blades. As mentioned, up-to-date price should be in the description, or in the link in the description. And we've also got MSI polymers. The price on these has been great. The first batch of them was like $176 for the plain edge versions here. Check out the link below for current pricing. I believe it's going to be the same in this case, but just in case it's not, I'm saying this right now. That's my my asterisk, my caveat here. 3.9 inch blade, just about. Also with the M390 MK apocalyptic finish, two-tone with apocalyptic in this particular case, which is kind of like a really heavy and slightly oxidized stonewash going on. The polymer versions of this, as opposed to the G10s, are really, I think, very special, and that's really down to that really excellent price. American made, excellent ambidextrous lock, ambidextrous functionality overall, truly a full-sized pocket knife with, close to a 4-inch blade. This is definitely something that is built for bigger work. Don't let the quote-unquote plastic scales fool you there. The grip is nice, the balance is nice, the strength, it feels like it's got all of that. Really, really cool. Check them out in the link below. There you go. Next up, we've got some new Benchmade Bailouts to talk about. Kind of line extensions to the aluminum-handled M4 bladed version that was currently existing, which comes with a kind of a woodland green aluminum handle. Big fan of that knife. I own and have used it extensively. These are going to come in at the same price as those, 270 bucks. We've got 3 versions. The first is this Crater Blue aluminum. Comes with a Cerakoted blade of flat dark earth. Almost matching hardware in terms of the barrel spacer and the protruding bail there at the back, giving the Bailout its name. Not a perfect color match between the two, but it's got the same vibes. Ambidextrous crossbar lock, the axis lock right there. Works very nicely, as you can see. Now, this knife is essentially kind of it's obviously got some tactical inspiration, but it leans more into, the everyday usability, I think. Everyday slicing as well. Maybe that's why I personally like it, because I'm not really a tactical person myself. Can't you tell? Thomas, not a word. Mm-hmm. It's got the everyday usability of the bug out with the slightly more tactical things going on. The bail there does not have the glass breaker on this particular model, although the other version we're going to look at here does have that. Thin Tonto style blade there, M4 steel, nice and tough. It's heat treated really well and has been, I've seen tests done of folks kind of testing these for edge retention, and it's done exceptionally well, and that's kind of borne out in my own usages of the knife as well. The aluminum feels really good. It's got a bit of sculpting to it, or a bit of contour, I should say, with kind of that diamond plate or kind of diamond jigged pattern going on. I'm not using the right words here, but I think you know what I'm talking about. They're not sharp. It's just a little bit of texture, which is quite nice. Fully ambidextrous knife here too, as well. Reversible clip, lefty friendly and righty friendly locking and thumb studding going on right here. This version only available in plain edge. The second version available in plain edge or partially serrated, and that is the black handled version with the gray Cerakoted finish. I believe this is still a Cerakote. Yep, tungsten gray Cerakote. Comes with kind of subtle accenting colors on the thumb studs, back barrel spacer, and bailout there near the back. I rescued it. And these versions do have the glass breaker right there. Some folks may not like it. It does kind of stick up a little bit. I will say though, in the pocket, having used the green version of this knife for quite a bit, it's never bothered me in any case, I should say. The part that sticks out kind of sticks back as you're going into your pocket for other things. You're kind of hitting this corner of the bail, not the corner with the glass breaker on it. And it's not a crazy sharp glass breaker anyway. It's going to do the job that you need it to do when you need it to do that job, but it stays a bit out of the way, in my opinion at least, for the more everyday mundanity. But there you go. These are in stock and shipping now. All right, now we've got some more affordable stuff to look at. It's been sort of a pricey beginning to this video, but for those on more of a budget, check this out. The Mini Praxis from CIVIVI has been a pretty compelling, has sat, I should say, at a pretty compelling price point for quite a while. It's the least expensive CIVIVI knife, coming in with a 3-inch D2 blade and G10 handles for about 30 bucks. This version takes the same profile, same size, same recipe, adds every knife enthusiast's kind of like favorite thing nowadays, or at least one of the hot new materials, and that is Ultem, this transparent kind of yellowy colored material. And it does push the price up percentage-wise a decent bit over the standard G10 versions, like 33.33%, right? Because we're going from $29.75 to $39.70 here. Still, keep in mind, this is by far the least expensive Ultem handled knife that we sell, period. So it still sits at a pretty good value point if this is a material you are particularly interested in. You can get it in this satin finish or a black finish, and the black finish comes with matching black liners. And I wasn't sure, we've got actually a button lock Elementum, or sorry, the Elementum 2 here, also available in black and satin configurations with Ultem. And I thought the black would probably be cooler, but you can see more of the insides with the satin version here. So you let us know which one you prefer style-wise. Kind of liking the satin, but I'm predisposed to satin blades over black in general, just because that's my thing, but for me, it's the handle aesthetic there that sells it. Anyway, the Mini Praxis. It's kind of a 3 to 3.5 finger knife, depending on your hand size. My hands are slightly larger than average, and I've got 3 fingers on it with, I can't even call it a 3.5 finger grip because my pinky just kind of slips off the back. But, you know, the finger grooves there make it look like it should be 4, and you might be worried that, you know, if you can only fit 3 fingers on there, those finger grooves are going to be uncomfortable. They're gentle enough, and the edges of the liners and everything are rounded over enough that you can't really tell. Like, you can feel the peaks. I feel the 2 peaks with my fingers, but they're not sharp and they don't feel prohibitive. They don't feel like they're going to keep me from using the knife. So that's interesting. The blade is cool, very elliptical drop shape, almost a full flat grind with a full length swedge. Just a great everyday shape as far as I'm concerned. You can choke up and get a full 4-finger grip on the knife thanks to this fairly generous finger choil here. But if your fingers are on the larger side like mine are, I'm kind of touching kissing the back edge of the heel right there. And I don't particularly like that. Smaller fingered folks won't have that problem though. Deep carry pocket clip rounds things out, right side only in this case, inset into the Ultem scales with flush mounted screws, so very snag free going back into the pocket. Flipper deployment with ball bearings, very nice overall. Next up, the Elementum 2, as mentioned, which is we'll call it the button lock Elementum 2, shall we? $76.50 for these versions. Again, satin, also available with the matching hardware and liners. And single position pocket clip here. Same treatment, inset with flush head screws. And it's the original button lock size, or sorry, the original Elementum size, just with a button lock. So you get that kind of wrist flicky thing if you want. You get that finger safe unlocking, keeps your fingers out of that moving path of the sharpened edge, which is quite nice. And it's just a great size for EDC, just about 3 inches. Both of these about the same blade length, in fact, but the Elementum design definitely gives you more handle to work with. So 3.5 fingers for me, and a very gentle slope on the back to make it very versatile. The only difference dimensionally from the standard liner locking flipper Elementum would be the thickness. It is a little bit thicker to make room for the button lock mechanism right there. But this also brings us to the final point, is should we call this the Ultimentum or the Elementum?
Sound off in the comments.
Sound off in the comments. Either one has a good ring. We're not 100% sure which one rings better, shall we say. Let us know. Next from CIVIVI, new Ben Peterson design, expansion of the Baby Banter to include now this Wharncliffe blade shape. A really cool little Wharncliffe blade shape, actually. And interestingly, and rather smartly, I think, the actual straight edge of this Wharncliffe blade is angled up a little bit rather than completely parallel to the handles. And for something like this, where you are probably going to be using that tip, dragging the tip along on whatever you're cutting, it gives you a little bit more knuckle clearance as a result than if it were a little bit lower. You have to bring your hand up further to utilize that tip the same way. So that's a nice little consideration right there. This is a small knife overall, 2.32 inches on the blade, Nitro V, which keeps things nice and tough, nice and fine grained, very easy to sharpen as well, and still going to perform really nicely. And it folds up into a very, very pocketable size right here. Deep carry pocket clip, reversible in this case, contoured handle scales. We've got this black burlap micarta, and what's the other handle version right now? It's mixed in with all the other things on the website. Purple G10, also an option, and also contoured as well, not like the original drop point versions with their flat scales. Nice consideration there too. Pops open really nicely with those thumb studs. There's ball bearings in this pivot as well. And with the finger choil, it's getting that 3 to 3.5 finger grip size. I'd say solidly 3.5 fingers for me using that choil, but still no finger protection there, so keep that in mind when you're using that grip. Otherwise, you're relegated to the 2.5 to 3 finger grip back here. Really nice in a pinch grip, though. This is going to be great for precision cutting with that Wharncliffe blade. Very cool. Skipping gears from CIVIVI, we've got more from CIVIVI and Sencut and We Knife Company, which is all kind of the same company, in a minute. But we also have a new Knafs product as well, which is Ben Peterson's brand. So sits nicely next to the Ben Peterson design with the Baby Banter here. This is a new version of the Lander, coming in at about $75. 2 3/4 inch blade with Sandvik's 14C28N. Real similar stuff to Nitro V, not identical, but kind of sits in a very, very similar price and performance category, shall we say. We shall. Therefore I will.
We'll banter about it.
Oh, I can't believe you went there. Anyway, Jade G10 handles on this one with blackened hardware. Almost a black stone wash. There's a hint of tumbling there, but it's not super heavy. It mostly maintains a matte black type of look. We've got a deep carry pocket clip here, sticking out just a little bit past the tail end of the scale there, which should make it a very deep carry indeed. It's reversible with the blockout plate there on the front side to keep things nice and smooth looking. We've got ball bearings in the pivot and an inset liner lock there, and pops open quite nicely. Just a great little drop point blade for everyday carry use. And oh, how did I not mention? Easily swappable handle scales here. You don't have to mess with the pivot at all in order to remove these handle scales. Just the 2 screws right there, and it'll lift right off. We do sell some replacement or alternative handle scale sets. You can also download the CAD files from the Knafs website and make your own set if you wish. Really cool that he's kind of embraced the open source nature of that thing. So that's pretty cool. Check that knife out. Back to CIVIVI, another Nitro V bladed CIVIVI. The Amirite, coming in at about $76.50 right now. 3.5 inch Nitro V blade. Thomas, what do you want to call that?
Reverse sheep's foot.
We call it a reverse tanto on the website, and it's kind of cleaverish, kind of reverse tanto. The way it works in actual practice, it's more like a big giant sheep's foot. Whatever you want to call it, I'm going to call it cool looking. It is a big broad blade. You feel like you're going to be able to do pretty big, heavy cuts with it, and yet it's not overbuilt in a way that is going to make it unslicey. There we go. You can see. Well, let's compare it to the ZT right at the beginning there, which is a little bit thicker and not quite as high of a grind on that ZT. And I did mention this is going to be pretty slicey design, despite its kind of robust, well-earned robust reputation. This knife here, the Amirite, is going to be even a little bit slicier because the blade stock starts thinner and the grind runs the full height of that blade, which makes it a steeper angle or a narrower angle than on the ZT. The handles are G10 with full-length skeletonized liners, inset deep carry pocket clip with flush-mounted screw heads with reversibility, which I love to see on a button lock because even though it's right-hand biased, very left-hand usable, no problem. And very finger-safe and fidget-friendly. The finger-safe nature especially, I'm always a big fan of. Plenty of handle real estate on this one. All 4 of my fingers fit on there, no problem. And then you also have the generous finger choil right there. Watch the sharpened edge at the back, of course. Just really nice. Several versions of these right now. We've got, well, maybe not several, but 4.
A handful.
3 of them, I believe, coming in stock right now. We've got blue G10 and black G10. Both of those come with a satin blade. It looks like coming down the line as well, there's going to be an Ultem version with a Damascus handle. That's pretty cool. It's going to be more expensive than this version right here. And it's not actually going to perform any better either. It's just going to look pretty great. So there you go. If you want your roughly cleavery looking pocket knife to be less expensive, check out the Sencut right here. Kind of the bottom rung on the 3-tiered ladder of Sencut, CIVIVI, and We Knife Company. This is the Traxler, 3.5 inch blade coming in at about $40 right now. 9CR series stainless, which is roughly analogous to 440C. Solid stuff at the price, for sure. Thomas, what did you call this blade earlier?
Cheese with a hunchback.
I called it a hunchbacked cheese knife. And then I said I hated him, and he left the room. But it's okay. What do you guys think? Definitely a kind of a rhinocerized sheep's foot is what I would call it. It's interesting that Sencut as a brand kind of took the playbook that CIVIVI started out with when they were first introduced onto the marketplace. Went with like 9CR steel instead of D2 steel, like a lot of those versions. But it's kind of CIVIVI's greatest hits on this Sencut. You've got full-length liners, simple G10 shadow boxed scales on the front and back, a pocket clip, deep carry with flush-mounted screws but not inset, ball bearings in the pivot, liner lock, excellent action, overall fit and finish that belies its low price point. That's what made CIVIVI what CIVIVI is today, and now Sencut does the same thing. Yeah, it's just super solid. Nothing at all to fault on this knife in terms of its actual construction. It's very well done. Can we fault its blade shape? No, there's some folks there's some folks out here that will like this. And truth be told, I'm just throwing shade just for the sake of throwing shade because I actually do kind of like it too. It's interesting. Not personally, or not my personal cup of tea, but not everything has to be cool.
It's a cleaver that's been nest-mounted.
Oh, why would you tell me something like that? That's, ugh. I still hate you.
That's fine.
Speaking of unclassifiable blade shapes. Anyone?
Toad nest muck?
It's interesting. So on the website. This is the WE knife company Ignio. First, let me say the name. We're calling it a Wharnto, which is a Wharncliffe / Tonto blade.
Just say reverse Tonto.
More than honestly, more than anything, it reminds me of a kind of faceted Nessmuck blade shape, like an angular Nessmuck. Sound off in the comments. All the comments this week are going to be about this blade is that and that blade isn't this and that.
It's a cybermuck.
It's a cybermuck. That's not the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Price on these start at about the $289 mark. There are some more expensive versions with Damasteel. And then, as is typical with these premium WE products, the jump up in price is pretty significant for those, like $615 for them. But this has kind of WE Knife Company's greatest hits. Premium steel, 20 CV in this case, 3.3 inches long, lots of edge retention on tap right there. We have titanium handles here, nice complexity to the shape, not just a simple flat slab. Seamed together, I should say, at the back. No visible back spacers. In fact, no visible screws holding those together. All you get is the screw right here, which actually is holding the pocket clip in place through the other side of the handle scale. Milled titanium, as you can see right there. And then you see the reverse side of the pivot screw and the screw for the lock bar insert, which doubles as your over travel arrestor right there. So, CIVIVI, or WE's greatest hits with a little extra cleanliness involved. It's really cool. There is the folded profile. You can open it either with the flipper tab right there, or, let's see, I haven't tried the reverse flick using the thumb cutout or the blade cutout. No worries. Works very well right there. Whatever you want to call it, it's definitely distinctive. I like it. I didn't really react to it when I saw pictures and started putting it on the table, but in hand, I approve. Not that they need my approval, but that's okay. Next up, Reeve knives. Small Inkosi with natural micarta inlays. $525 for this. It is a premium Reeve product after all. MagnaCut blade steel, 2.8 inches long with the high hollow grind right there. Double lugs. Blasted titanium frame with micarta inlays. The fob there at the back. Seth V and I both agree, though, this knife is better without the fob. He carries a version like this and liked it a lot better when that was removed. But you can do that if you like. That's the nice thing. Super, super solid little folder. Doesn't take up a lot of space in the pocket, yet it is made for durability. You've got the oversized pivots, or sorry, the oversized washers there, and the big pivot giving it rock solid feel when open. I mean, there is no wiggle in that little blade at all. It is ready to work. The titanium's nice and strong. Yes, it's not going to do huge cuts, but the cuts it's capable of, anything within that blade size, it should handle no problem. Not too many of these in stock, but we do have a few in stock on filming day, so hopefully they are there's still a few for you folks to check out when this video goes live. If you want some MagnaCut for less money, we got two more options here. GiantMouse, the ACE Nazca, new versions of this with MagnaCut blade steel now. The previous versions were with M390 and micarta handles for about $225. This version gives you the MagnaCut and carbon fiber for about $265. Blade length is about 3.15. I say about, but that's exactly what the website says, so it's probably accurate. And very nice crossbar lock flicking action. Nice and finger safe. We've got ball bearings in this pivot, so you get a different feel from like a Benchmade, which comes with washers. A little bit more, it's hard to describe exactly how they're different. They just feel a little different. But anyway, there you go. Really cool blade shape. Also a very hard to describe blade shape. In fact, we don't even say what it is on the main part of the website here. But down in the specifications, we say modified clip point. I'll give it that. It's almost a modified Wharncliffe. It's very strange, isn't it? They feel really good. They are made by Bestech, who's doing a real good job with their crossbar locks. This new knife, though, is made in Maniago in Italy. MagnaCut blade, 3 1/4 inches, $215. But the only problem with this knife is we got to figure out how to pronounce the name. Which is a shame because I ran into Jens Anso, one of the designers behind this brand, at Blade Show West a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't ask him this question. Well, J-A-G-T, it's based on the word for hunting in Danish. The only other word I know that's also based on that same kind of root is Jägermeister, master of the hunt. Is this the Jagd? Jagd? Or should we just be American and call it the Jagt? I don't know. What would you call it? The next knife we're looking at? Oh, you... Anyone who would like a career in knife videography, we'll leave an email address for your resumes down below.
No, don't post your emails.
No, that's true. 3 1/4 inch blade. A bit of that bull-nosed Skinner look going on. It's a drop point, but it's the kind of drop point that, evolve it a little bit further, and it's a Nesmuck, which I like. I like the micarta versions of this especially. There's green and black. There's also an orange G10 option available right now, all for that $215 price. 3.5 fingers for me, but you can choke up. There's no defined finger choil, but if you choke up around the pivot, that feels pretty good. Crown spine on here also feels and looks pretty darn good. We've got an inset liner lock. Let's check out the action. With those ball bearings, they're working really nicely. Let's try the reverse flick. Haven't tried it yet. I'm either getting better at that or knives are getting easier to do that. I'm not sure. Wire pocket clip, reversible, and a really cool backspacer as part of the overall design. Very nice. Very slicey. Very cool. Let's end things with two very tactical things. Unapologetically tactical. The RMJ collaboration with Bailout Blades, the Ragnarok Tomahawk, coming in at $525. There you go. It is cool. We've got a few different G10 color versions. Tungsten Cerakote on this one. I think they're all tungsten Cerakoted at this point, however. Feels good. You've got a very hefty striking surface here at the front. Straight edged, but kind of a Tonto-like tip here at the back, Thomas?
Kind of. I'm going to call it a Ragnarok.
It's pretty good. You're on point today with these things. Careful of the beard here, or the inside of the beard here. That is also sharpened for coming down on things. This being a tactical tomahawk. I don't think I need to describe what those things are. And a sharpened spike here at the back. Kind of the standout feature, though, for this that separates it from other tomahawks I'm used to seeing, tactical-wise, is this protruding pommel, or the protruding tang here at the bottom, forming this kind of angular scraper slash pry tip slash striking point as well at the back. Looks like you could get some pretty good leverage off of that. I would suggest, if you're attempting to apply leverage to that, to use the sheath, which I don't know where I put it. It's Kydex. It wraps around with a strap. There's pictures on the website. You can see that. I'm sorry, folks. I don't know what I did with that. Maybe Thomas will be able to insert some B-roll with it over what I'm saying. Very cool. I almost called it a knife. Very cool tomahawk, as everything RMJ does. It's very cool. And last but not least, new versions of the Military 2 in stock and shipping with the Digicam handle scales. 196, and this is the military design with some of the ergonomic and design cues from the paramilitary 2 ported back over to the design that spawned the original paramilitary. Reverse evolution right there, I guess we'll call it. 4-inch S30V blade, plenty of length for long reach, and a good angle down for doing some cutting board work. I know this does not look like a food prep knife, but it's not bad at food prep, actually.
Military's got to eat, too.
Military's got to eat, too. Everybody got to eat. We've got a compression lock here at the back, as opposed to the liner or frame lock of the original military. As such, it's finger safe. It is still nice and strong as well. Plenty of handle length for even big-handed folks. As you can see, I'm sitting just in the main section right here. I can certainly float my pinky off the back if I need to, so larger-handed folks can do that. And you can choke up with retaining that finger protection on the index finger to give yourself even more length right there. Solid design, big knife, not too big in the pocket, definitely not small in the pocket, but I've seen 4-inch blades that take up way much more space in the pocket plenty of times here on this channel. So scope it out right now. Like I said, $196 sitting alongside the standard G10 versions. Same price, but interestingly less expensive than the original military, which is still available too. If you prefer the liner locking versions, those are still, I think we have some in stock right now, but those are still available. Anyway, that's it. We got through it, you guys. Thank you. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, let me know in the comments what you're interested in, and check out the links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. Where don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program. Means you get to earn up to 5% back, and actually sometimes even more if you play your cards right, towards the purchase of a future knife when you pick up one of these today. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, and that's Thomas behind the camera, and we're signing off. See you next time.